Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Slurpathon 2025 as we try and raise money for Extra Life to raise money for children's hospitals in Alberta. It's my honor to welcome in here Weary64 with Prince of Persia, The Lost Crown. Say hi.
Hello, how's it going?
Pretty good, you?
Not too bad.
I'm really excited for this game myself. I've been wanting to play it, so I don't really know anything about it, and really excited to see it. So,
One sec.
I guess we're ready whenever you are. Then, if
Oh, there
you
we go.
want to give
Okay.
us a countdown.
Yep. So let me just get everything set up. So there's a couple different like game modes that sets us on. We just turn on the speedrun mode and then play on the easiest difficulty. So, basically go in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Oh, just kidding, because there's. And we're starting out with slide canceling like immediately. So basically, sliding and then canceling the slide and pressing the input again, and you just go very fast, like very fast. And we're gonna slide through a bunch of enemies, and we're gonna skip this is like the first fight, and we're just gonna skip right past it. Teaches us how to like parry stuff. No. And that is, they call it infinite wall jumping. It's essentially you jump off of a wall that you're sliding down and then parry at the same time, and it limits how far you jump off of the wall. And then you just keep sticking to the wall. And now it's a lot more sliding. You gotta clear out these archers. There is a skip here where you can like hop over this barrier that's in front of us that we can't currently see. This like little wood pile, but the invisible wall goes very high and quite difficult to do, so it's generally easier to just help get rid of the enemies here. And Menelaus and Orod, who are the two that are helping us, are quite effective at taking out enemies as well, compared to most games you play where the AI doesn't do much. Prince of Persia games especially. And he'll destroy that barricade for us, and we're right back to our slide canceling. We got a little bit of platforming to do, some enemies to avoid. It's mostly, this is just like the tutorial prologue section, so it's really just a lot of fighting enemies and moving around quickly. And we're gonna learn here how to do a vengeful parry, which is like a yellow shine from an enemy instead of like the white one that you normally see. And usually those are associated with like longer cutscenes coming out of the parry. You usually see them on bosses and stuff. We try to avoid them in boss fights because it usually plays some kind of scene or animation, which obviously loses time. So try and avoid them as much as we can. And we're gonna do a charged attack here in a few seconds to break a breakable door so that we don't have to run up as close to it to get this cutscene, which we're gonna skip. And now we're gonna fight our first boss of the game, General Vishka. And our typical attack combo for fighting bosses is 2 attacks and then like that little back step you see me doing. The full attack combo is 3 hits, but the 3rd hit is like very delayed, so we don't typically want to see it because we can do 4 attacks faster than we could do 3. And that's General Vishka. And now, basically, Sargon is one of the immortals. He's being presented with a sash by the Queen of Persia, and then he's just gonna, we're out of there. Not even gonna see him in the hallway. Oops. We're gonna talk with General Anahita. Go talk to the rest of our immortals. Fellow immortals. Really? Apologize for that. Okay, there we go. I couldn't tell you what the story of this game is because I've never played it casually, so, and we skipped through probably about 90% of the dialogue. So most of the characters, I have no idea who they are. And that kind of just persists throughout the run. We become Super Sargon here, sort of. You have something called an Athra-Surge. Deals a lot of damage and is usable on a timer, and you gain power for it by damaging enemies. We're going to use it to skip a couple animations later in the run. We get past all these enemies, and our second boss, the Weapon Master, or Sword Master, we're going to kick him into a wall. Kick him into a wall, and then just cheese him a little bit. So normally when you do that like down slash attack, it pushes the enemies to the side. But because he's against the wall, there's nowhere for him to go. So now we're in the lost city of Mount Koth, which is kind of like frozen in time. This is the main setting of the game. This section is just a lot of sliding and movement, so if we've got any announcements or anything to talk about, now would be a great time.
Sure. Just to remind everybody that there are some incentives currently going on. We did reach the bid war for Pokemon Puzzle League for the Swag Chain Showcase, so we have that coming up. There are still the incentives available for Rocksmith 2014 Remastered for some song redemptions. There's 25 out of 75 for Symphony of the Night from Dragon Force, and there's still Through the Fire and Flames from Dragon Force. So go ahead and get those donations in there. All proceeds go over to St. Jude's for Children's Hospitals in Alberta.
Awesome. We just got like more miscellaneous platforming. We're about to run into our one of the first NPCs that we're going to talk to, Fariba, and get a checkpoint called a Wak Wak Tree. They kind of serve as like the respawn point if I were to die, which I hopefully won't. There are like 3 or 4 mandatory ones that you have to stop at throughout this run, this being the first one. She gives us like a map, and she gives us an ability to like make images. This game is a really cool map system, actually. You can like take pictures essentially of places you've been.
Thank you, miss.
And revisit them later to like remember like, oh hey, there's a chest here, so that you don't just go, oh yeah, I had this marked down to go back to it, but I don't remember why. Some spikes on the wall. There used to be a way you could propel yourself up in the air using that bridge, but I believe it got patched. Like all great speed games, they basically didn't update this game for a while and then put out DLC for it like a year later, and it just ruined everything. So it was great. Which is why the run may differ a little bit from last year, because I believe it came out just after September last year. We're coming up to Haven, and there's a cutscene that normally we'd run into with the lady in the tent that's right below us, but instead we're going to sword hover, which is basically doing upward and downward sword attacks to basically hover over her and avoid that cutscene. It'll pop back up later when we come back through this area, or that area, but we won't have to like actually interact with her. We'll just have to listen or like see the screen kind of zoom in on her. There we go. And eventually we are gonna get like a air dash, but the wall sliding is still pretty. Like, the ground sliding is still pretty fast compared to the air dash. As far as I know, the DLC was good. It just broke the speedrun routing because of some patching. But I don't know how it affects the full run because I've also never done the full run, so I've only stuck with this. We're gonna come up to the next boss, which is the Undead Prisoner. First example of the vengeful counters being kind of bad, but hopefully we won't see one. We're gonna get him down to like half-ish health, and then use our Athra Surge. And then finish off the fight. Or be difficult, that's cool too. And then we can continue going through. You used to be able to skip this boss entirely, but one of the things that was patched was this gate closes a lot earlier in the fight, so you can't just speed through it. Now we're in the Hyrcanian Forest. So there are these little orange platforms that you'll see that shrink up after you're standing on them for a long time. So you do have to kind of move fast through this area. Get to our second mandatory walk tree where we're going to meet Camille. He's going to give us a second Athra Surge we're never going to use.
No, they're at all. Yes, these, they're but not here.
And for some reason this menu doesn't let us leave. There we go. And then in a couple seconds here, we're going to use our sword hovering again to skip a boss. Again, couldn't tell you what boss we're skipping. I don't know. All I know is that it skips a boss. And eventually we're going to get the bow, shoot some things to make more of those platforms. There we go. Boss skipped. And now this bird that just causes issues for us. There we go. Birds are the bane of a Prince of Persia speedrunner's existence. Not that way. In Prince of Persia Sands of Time, they're also one of the worst enemies in a speedrun. And come down here and get the bow. Menelaus's bow. And what this is going to let us do is shoot from things far away, obviously, or shoot at things from far away, obviously. We're going to use it to open up a fast travel checkpoint later. And then for now, we're basically kind of just backtracking our way through the forest, and we're going to get to a point where we have to start kind of moving through those platforms that I just shot with the bow. And as you can see, there's like just things flying around on screen in this area everywhere, constantly. It is horrifying, especially when you're around terrain like that where you just die. Okay. Excuse me? There. Birds and dogs enemies, yeah. Every time. Okay,
And
so we're
plants.
gonna come this way. Yeah, yes, absolutely. And that's what I'm talking about with the shrinking platforms. Sometimes that happens where the arrows will target the enemy rather than the platform I'm trying to actually shoot for, and it just creates an endless problem. Oh, and I know your arrows. That's fine. We can do that like wall jump mechanic to actually skip several things, but sometimes it's more convenient to just do the intended strategy, like shooting the little bulb to bring out the platform. Here we're going to see Menelaus again. There's like some time mumbo-jumbo going on, as is typical with the Prince of Persia game. He gave us a chakram there, which we would use to like hit those like gear things you're gonna see. We just ignore a lot of them. And continue. Sometimes that guy will hit you with an arrow and it sucks. So I usually try and jump really high over him or just avoid him completely. Sometimes it just happens. It's unfortunate. So here we're going to run into a cutscene with Farba, and you can see, like I said, the camera is going to focus on the lady at Haven, and we're just going to slide past her and completely ignore it. And then now we can go back to where we had that little cutscene before with this purple thing that we have to shoot, and this is going to open up more platforms. So the whole reason we got the bow, basically, I mean, we're going to use it for other things, but it was essentially to be able to hit that little thing and continue on. And we're coming up to the first, like, real scary boss, I would say, Jahandar. Jahandar is, like, a manticore who kind of is just gonna try and create a whole lot of problems in the arena, like shooting lightning bolts down on us and hitting us with his tail that poisons us, and we're just not gonna have any of it. So hopefully it goes well. This is a situation, this is a fight where the vengeful counter is actually not that bad of a thing because this fight is problematic sometimes. So being able to deal the extra damage to Jahandar without really fear of repercussion is a good thing. And this is another case of... Oh, it does still work. Okay, so anytime that I've been practicing since they patched it, I hadn't been able to get that. Typically that orb that he shoots up in the air will just cast lightning bolts down on us, and it causes some big issues. He's gonna bring it back here, but that's okay, because it's easier to avoid at this point than having to deal with it the whole time. Oh, he's not even gonna do the vengeful counter. Interesting. Oh, maybe I lied. Just kidding. And I missed it. That's okay. So, ideally I didn't want to use that. That was actually an accident, so you're gonna see what I was talking about. Normally we would have used the Athro Surge to skip this part where I'm walking horribly slowly. This isn't that bad of one for it to not have the Athro Surge for. Typically you'd use the Athro Surge and dash right into the feather. But that's okay. So now we have our, like, air dash. And we're gonna use it for a lot of things, basically, at this point. As far as just ground traversal, sliding, I believe, is still faster. But when it comes to, like, a lot of aerial movement, the air dash is basically a requirement. And they work it into basically every little puzzle and stuff that they do, so... I'm gonna do another little sword hover here, and then some funky movement with the dash. And now we've got a fight with Anahita's guards, which might be able to skip. I'm gonna try. Nope. Before, you used to be able to do an Athro Surge out back the door that we came in to skip this fight. They patched that. Apparently there's another way you can do it. I haven't been able to figure it out. It's significantly more difficult than the old way was. So we just fight the fight, which doesn't take that long. We try and group them together so that we can do an Athro Surge into 3 or 4 of them at a time, because there are many of them that show up. Varam will eventually show up with his katana to help us. Like that. Except we don't need his help because, you know, we're good. And then he'll ask us where the prince go. And we just say, I don't know, they were here a second ago, I don't know where they went. And now we're going into the Sacred Archives. The Sacred Archives, very movement heavy area. We're gonna see this guy pop out. He's basically like a jailer. He kind of just roams around the different rooms, and if he catches us with that thing, then we just go poof into jail. And obviously that's bad. We can escape, and it isn't that much of a time loss, but obviously we don't want that to happen because it does take time. So we're just gonna slide, pretty much just slide right under him here. And as long as nothing disrupts our movement, then we should be good to go. There we go. Jump over this guy. A lot of the enemies do just let you slide under them. We're gonna call an elevator here, but elevators are slow because Sargon's faster. and we're just gonna ignore it. Just kidding. We're gonna take the elevator because we can't platform up walls apparently today. And we're gonna have another instance here with another one of the jailers. We're gonna avoid him. He has this little, like, sphere of influence, I guess you could call it, where if you run into that, then it kind of alerts him to our presence. And here is the, what I was talking about with the, opening the checkpoint. Shoot some arrows and hope that we get it. And you can hear that rumbling and the thing that pops up on the screen about the home statues network. Means that we got it, so that'll be useful for later. If I missed with the arrows, it's not that big of a deal. I just walk up to it and attack it. It's another one of those, like, purple orb things like we were already shooting at with the bow. Oh, you're not supposed to be moving. Okay, normally that thing waits until you stand on that little white section that I was just on. Yeah.
At one of those, that's never happened before moments.
Oh, there's gonna be plenty of them. But yeah, and that was the Sacred Archives. We will be back later in the run. For now, actually, hold on. You know what? Let me rest at this. So there are plenty of whack-rack trees that I will be stopping at, because the distance between some of the mandatory ones or the ones that are worth stopping at, very few and far between in this run, and they act as checkpoints, so kind of if we were to die, unfortunately, at any any point between now and the next boss, it would be bad. We'd be like doing a lot of rerunning. So the next boss that we are fighting, we are intended to lose, so we actually do want to take some damage here. Because obviously the less health we have going into a fight we're supposed to be losing, the better, because the faster the fight will end. This next little bit coming up is a lot of just movement, so if there's anything that you would like to talk about, now is a great time to do it.
Really enjoying the way the movement looks in this game. It's quite clean.
It is. It's very. I really like games that have a lot of, like, just the fast, clean movement, like Celeste or Hollow Knight, stuff like that. Oops, I missed that. So this is a puzzle. It's not really much of a puzzle. It's just throwing the chakram a bunch and calling it back, and then grabbing down a couple different platforms. But it is kind of tricky the first couple times you figure it out, maybe. I don't know. I definitely remember when I was trying to learn this run having some trouble with it. But as you get more comfortable with the controls and stuff, it's not so bad. And we're gonna bring this platform back up and get on this one, call the chakram back, and there we go. Puzzle done. And that weapon master that we fought earlier as a boss appears as a normal enemy now, but we're Sargon, so it doesn't really matter. Just a non-factor. We're gonna run into this old guy. He's gonna be like, wow, hi, I've been waiting for you for so long, and we basically tell him nobody asked. And some more movement up into this. This is the last group of enemies that they can kind of get you and hurt you pretty bad if you're low on health. So luckily we did not get snagged by any of them, and we're going to be able to sail right into this boss fight, no problem. So coming up, we're going to fight Varam, the guy that helped us earlier, and he's going to shoot that, like, red energy beam at us. And if we can hit him with an arrow at the same time that that beam would kill us, then we would be... we'll skip a little cutscene that's gonna happen. So there's a little bit of setup. This one, so the next one. And we got it. So normally he has like an anime moment where he like pulls out his sword, hits Sargon 5 million times while he's suspended in midair, and then it plays that skippable part of that cutscene. But by doing what we did, we were able to skip that. So now we're in the depths, which is probably the worst part of the run. It's very dangerous, lots of obstacles, lots of platforming, lots of like mid-air like that. Lots of environmental hazards that just hurt, as well as poison. So I will be stopping at basically every walk tree that we have in here. Because normally in a run you wouldn't be stopping at any of them, so if I were to die, like I've been saying and like I'll probably continue to say, we would basically be back at the beginning of this section, which is a very, very awful run back. And some very tight platforming. I don't know, what would you call it? Acrobatics? Parkour between sections, between spikes and traps. We're going to come back to this area in a second. We have to grab an ability that's going to allow us to basically recall our position. And that's the whole point of going through the depths. And we're going to come up to a room pretty soon that is basically the water is just going to keep rising and it's toxic, so we don't want to touch it. If we do, it basically forces us to do the whole room over again. And we're gonna try and get to the top without failing, because it's, again, very, very heavy on on waiting on platforms like those to pop up. And then flush the room at the top. All the water goes down, and then we can also go down through the bottom. Nope. There we go. And we're not out of the woods yet. There's still 1 or 2 little pools of poison that can hurt. Right there. That's one that a lot of people run into because it's hard to see. We're going to come up to the second Wak tree and our next boss, which is alternate Sargon. Which sometimes he'll let us pin him into a corner. Usually not. So it is a lot of fighting ourselves and just trying to get him into a spot where we can not have him do that. So he has after surges too. This is also one of the most challenging bosses just because of the fact that he has a lot of the same things that we have as far as abilities go. And we got him. So this is another feather that we're going to pick up here. So I will do my best to surge into it. And you'll kind of see. Kind of get close to it, and we didn't even have to really walk up to it with that slow, horrible walk. And that's the worst one too, by the way, so it's a good one, a good thing that we skipped that one. Because that one is... The first one's like 3 or 4 seconds. I think that one's like 5 or 6. So now we have this, like, crystal recall ability where we can put down our position and then call ourselves back to it.
You know,
The old guy's gonna tell us that somebody else is collecting the powers of the Simmer,
look for her within
and we're gonna basically say that's cool. And so now, first demonstration of using this ability is put it down there, call ourselves back to it, and we skip the block. And we use that for a couple puzzles moving forward. So we haven't really seen much of those other immortals, right? The ones that we were talking to, except for Nath, right here. And for some reason, none of these, like this cutscene, is skippable until after this little bit here. And it makes no sense to me, because pretty much everything else you can skip through.
Of course.
But not that first little bit. Okay, so another Whack tree. And we're basically working our way back up through the depths now to that section that we were just in. The section of spike traps that I said we were going to come back to. Riding the elevator and all that fun stuff. The worst thing to run into in this room are those little bits of falling poison like that, because what? Sometimes if you're standing still just barely and you press the backdash button to slide, it is a backdash button first and foremost, so if you're not moving far enough forward or fast enough forward, it will just send you flying backwards. So to get past that trap, we are going to use that recall ability, and then we're going to keep going into the depths. So the depths are a very fun to watch, or catacombs, sorry, not the depths, we were just in the depths. Very movement heavy, very fun to watch. A couple of very rude enemies that I will talk about, the fact that we're going to try and avoid them as best we can, or slide past them. This is Calyx,
How could I refuse?
and this is one of the last mandatory Whack trees. Calyx used to be voiced by AI, like the TikTok AI voice, and then people got mad about it, so they changed it. But yeah, so the movement through here is very fast, and all of those enemies are terrifying, and they do that. It's like horrible. And so we're gonna try and slide past them. For some reason, that platform always breaks before you even really touch it. And then we have these doors we gotta throw the chakra mat. And basically now we're through. We can slide past them as best as we can, those enemies that like to Yoshi tongue us. It's kind of gross. Stop at this Whack tree. And so this is what that checkpoint in the Sacred Archives that we opened up looks like. So if we had to run up to it and attack it, essentially, oh, we're gone. So now we're back in the Sacred Archives. We've got to get one more ability and go through an insane amount of trouble for it. Just to get something that we use for literally like 3 seconds of the run. So we're back at this area where that platform happened, and now we're on the other side of it, or I guess the moving block, not a platform. We're on the other side, and there was another moving one that we couldn't go past before because we didn't have a way to get around it, but with the recall ability we do now. So we're in a part of the archives called the Temple of Knowledge, and there's an enemy that basically sings here, and she is going to stop us from being able to harm enemies. We're not actually going to do anything about her. We're just kind of going to avoid all of the enemies if we can, and just get through the area. So we have a little, like, we're trapped in a room with enemies here, and we're going to fight these guys. And then these are actually like some of the last enemies that we're gonna fight in the game. These like wizard spellcaster dudes like to freeze you or just shoot orbs at you that make life very difficult. They're probably the worst enemies that we fight. So now that I've got all of them up here, I can do the After Surge and maybe get them. There we go. And we've got one more group of just the 2 spellcasters. Oh my goodness. There we go. So we get some health back from fighting those guys, which is good because they're a pain. And now we're just sliding through. You can see the screen is kind of turned orange because of the singer that's in the area. So you're gonna see this guy coming up who's just got the orange stuff. Oh, I didn't want to ride the elevator with us. Basically, while he's got that icon and that kind of outline of orange, we can't do anything to him. So normally you'd have to go up and solve a puzzle, but we can just throw the shock room at the switch that's up there and get past that whole puzzle without any real issue. And now we're in this room, which these enemies are annoying, but not too bad. We're gonna recall and hit that motion activated block to get past that room. And then do some shenanigans with the bells that switch blocks. And utilize that crystal recalling ability. Oh, that section can be quite harrowing. Anyway, and now we're into this puzzle that I was talking about to get this next ability. This last ability we're gonna get, it basically does what those bells do of like changing platforms that are appearing on the screen. So we're gonna start in the bottom left. And basically what happens is we start this and we get 3 versions of Sargon on a timer. And we have to use them to open up 3 different gates. Or sometimes only 2 gates. Usually 2 gates, and then you use the 3rd Sargon to actually get the thing. The exception is this next puzzle that we're gonna do. So from here, one opens above us and to the right of us. And instead of going to the right and then coming back to the left, we're just gonna do this one above us first. And this one is a bit more of a fast movement time. I don't really know what else to call it. Apart from the bane of my existence. And hopefully I got that fast enough. It is very common for this gate to be, like, for me to be standing in front of that tablet that we need and run out of time. Okay, but we got it. Cool. Oh. That one was honestly the one that I was most scared about not working out the first time. So now we've got this 3rd puzzle, which this one's not so bad either. All we're gonna do is activate the timer, wait for about 4 seconds, step on the platform. Hopefully I move fast when I come through on the next one. Basically, we leave that first platform out so that I can get to that wall, and then we move to the next one so that I can go right through it. I think I need to be higher up on the wall. Basically so that we can dash from the wall onto that last platform and get up to the tablet that we need. Okay. There we go. And this opens up the 4th and final puzzle, which somehow is like the least complicated out of all of them, even though it seems like it's the most complicated, just because it's very large. So we're gonna use that recall ability that we've got. Oops. To put our position down and then hit this platform. We're just gonna wait. And then on the next Sargon that we have, we're going to come down to that little platform and wait. As soon as this platform shows up, then we recall, do some wall jumps and dashes, and we're done. So now we're gonna get the ability to basically change the, see those like little glowing blue things that just disappeared into the purple prismatic objects? We can do that now, or we will be able to in a second. So we're gonna have one, this will be the final instance where we have to Athra Surge past a barrier of the, you know, walking slow. And I forget what they call this one. Eye of the Simmer or something like that. Basically what it lets us do is push a button, create platforms. Oh no, it's dimension something. I don't remember. We use it like twice. We went through all of that trouble, and that's that is one of the 2 uses, and the room before it, so I guess 3 times. I'm sure they'll use it more in the full run. I have no idea. It is not very helpful for me. But it's necessary, so we can't avoid it. Now we're gonna go back to the catacombs. And we're heading into, like, the last room, or last area that we're going to. Which is the entrance to the Pit of Eternal Sands, which is in the Sunken Harbor. So we have to go past the yucky enemies again. And the doors. Like, they did a really good job of just making this whole area just disgusting. It's horrifying. There's a couple of these guys that I intentionally will, like, slide past. Slide past kind of funny. Because they can be quite rude and push us very far away if they actually hit us. So we've got one more of those creatures here. And, okay, he didn't actually do anything to us. Sometimes they can come out of the gate just beating you up. And we've got another monster here that acts as one of those moving blocks. We're just going to recall past him. And that was the last, like, real enemy we're going to run into in the game. So we've got one more Wak-Wak tree coming up here. The final one that I'm going to rest at because potentially I could need more arrows.
Even my light cannot shine beyond the place of its beginning. Goodbye, Sargon. Night.
So Calyx is cool. He's like, dude, sick. You found another Wak-Wak tree that I can rest at. So we used to be able to... Hold on, sorry. I'll explain after. This is... Oh, we got it first try too. Okay, so you used to be able to, like, go over some invisible walls to get through that one, and then they changed it. You can't do that anymore. Yeah. I have nothing to say other than that I'm impressed because that's taken me, like, 5+ tries anytime I've been doing practice. So we're coming up on time in about 5 seconds here. I was not expecting it to be that fast. And that's time.
GG.
Which, my timer's not working, but that's time. There, I guess. Yeah, thank you, I appreciate it. It's a really fun run. If anybody wants to learn it, it's really not too bad. There is a Discord for Prince of Persia speedrunning. Yeah, that's I don't really have much to say.
Yeah, definitely a lot of movement. Definitely a very entertaining run. Oh, you're good.
Thank you. That was also only about 10 seconds off my PB, I just want to say, because that was pretty cool.
Oh, wow.
Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no, you're good. And thank you again for the run. We're going to be going over to our next run here, which is going to be Professional, I promise, Pokemon Puzzle League on S-Hard with Sparkover. So thanks again, and we'll be right back.
Enjoy Pokemon.
Welcome back to Citadel Station. We hope your somnolent healing stage went well. Today is the 6th day of November, 072. You are currently in the healing suites located on the first level. Level 2 contains the research laboratories, 3 houses the Department of Maintenance, and the storage cells are on level 4. The flight deck is on level 5. Level 6 holds crew facilities and executive suites, and level 7 is systems engineering. Level 8 houses the Department of Security. The bridge is located on level 9, and is a burgeoning empire of steel